Tango 1, Tango 2 testing. I do believe you're live. On time, British timing. Yes, sir. What an interesting week to have. We're blessed. We have to say thank you. There are higher powers above us that keep us sustained. I have a bit of a cold coming down, but I'm thankful for great health. Not only physical health, mental health. I'm back on track. Yeah, it reaches a time whereby, especially as a trader, man, it reaches a point whereby you have to look at your own mental health. It's something that's costing us time, resources, lives. Psychology is very important. It is really, really, really important to look at your own mental health. Okay, let's share the screen. The reason why I brought this up is because especially at this world in time, I teach forex. I teach forex. I mentor people in forex trading, and it's taught me a lot. I've been an education partner for big brokerages, the biggest broker in Kenya actually. And when I was there in that position, let me stop sharing for a moment. When I was in that position, people used to come to me and they needed help. And I've had quite a significant amount of stories when it comes to my boss is not doing me any good, this and that. And it made me make better decisions. There was a time a client came to me and he was like, I have only $500 between me and poverty. I want to put it all in forex. I've not paid for rent. I've not done anything, and I had to do the right thing in terms of, you see that money, go invest it in yourself. I'll teach you. I usually mentor. It's fully sponsored, so someone else pays for it. But I mentor. I'm heading. That's why I'm really interested in YouTube and so much, because I want to reach out to more people. What do you think would have been the likelihood of this guy making money when at first he was emotionally attached to it? I have $500 between me and poverty. I hate my boss. It's not only one scenario. I've had so many scenarios, so many scenarios, so many scenarios. And I've helped so many people. Excuse me. I wish I got that help also. I have to take care of myself because people come to me. I never go to anyone. And I would like to go to people. I'm not saying that I would really, really want to go to someone and vent out to a screaming pillow. That pillow whereby you're like, no! Yes, sir. It's very important for you to look out for your mental health. Emotions will keep you from wise decisions, especially in forex. Bringing me back to mentorship. Usually, when I start mentorship, I start from psychology going back. Because if up here you're not okay, if you have not made the right decision up here, then there's a high likelihood you're going to think this is a scam. And that's what's happening currently at the moment. If you go to If you go to any socials, forex, scam, scam, scam. Why? It's because of the psychology that you came up with into the financial markets. You hate your boss. You think trading is going to do that you any better. Mm-mm. It doesn't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way. I do believe we are live. Yes, we are live. Let me see if we can get some audio out of this. Yes, we are live. Let me see if we can get some audio out of this. Yes, we are live. Let me see if we can get some audio cold coming up. Damn. Like a really bad cold. Been a minute, huh? But it's very normal for if there are shifts in the weather. The human body is really good at adapting. So if you have a cold, it means that your body is technically adapting. So if you have a cold, it means that you're okay. I was just confirming my audio. Now going back to the day, huh? Today is going to be very important. I want to share with you a strategy that I've been looking at for quite a significant amount of time. Huh? Quite a significant amount of time I've been looking into this strategy, and I want to share it with you today. I want you to look at it. It's not financial advice, but it's something that it's a pattern. I was looking into Jim Simons. Actually, this is I've been doing a lot of a lot. I've been doing a lot of research because of this guy, Jim Simons, the mathematician, and it made me remember a video that when I started trading, I can't remember the exact video it was, but it was about a Kenyan where they noticed a pattern, and I do believe it was Apple stocks. Let me pull up a trading view chart for this. Whereby they noticed a specific pattern in the marketplace. Yeah, people were buying gold today. I'll talk about this in a few. People are buying gold. Yeesh. I hate to be you. If I was I was buying gold, but I got out of the position, and I'll explain. I have a video recorded for that. Now, what this guy was mentioning was he noticed a pattern in the markets whereby, and Jim Simons, I've been looking at a lot of Jim Simons interviews, and he does mention the same thing, whereby they noticed like that's why I do have. It's very important. It's very important for you to have opening prices and closing prices on your chart, especially on the daily. If you're looking, especially if you're looking at candle closures, huh? So this is the 1 hour time frame. If you look at from this line to this line, basically, from this line to this line, basically means it's 1 day. So if I go to the H4 time frame, from one line to the next is going to represent a week. I don't want this, sorry. When I go to a daily time frame, from one line to the next is going to be, it's supposed to bring me a monthly time frame. But this is the thing that he was mentioning, and if I can try to quote back what he was talking about was there are certain patterns that the market makes, and Jim Simons and the likes of mathematicians, the great people who are trading, they identify an edge in the markets, and then whenever the edge pops up, you have to execute on that edge. Whenever the edge pops up, you have to execute without any fear, without any emotions. You see it, pull the trigger. You see, pull the trigger, and never keep stop pulling the trigger. That was very wise. That was very wise because a probability is set of data. You see, it's a set of data that you are looking into. And whenever you're looking into this set of data, you have to execute it without any fear, without any emotions. So this pattern that they recognized was somehow the market usually opened, went and formed a high, but before the day closed, it usually came back to the opening price. So what these people did was buy and sell at the opening price. Buy and sell at the opening price. And they did it every day. They used to make almost $3,000 a day up until the pattern failed to, because the markets usually change. A pattern that's working in January, there's a probability it's not working in December. That's how the market usually goes. So I've been looking at it also, asking myself, what are some of these patterns that I can apply to myself? And the question begged me so much to a point where I was like, I have a probability. I know what works. You see this setup? You see this setup? And I do this for me. It's good that I'm sharing it with you. Bless me once again, Baba. Hi, yo. Let me show you my downloads. Huh? I want to go to, when was this? This was 22nd. Excuse me once again. You're going to get a lot of that in this stream for today. Mm-hmm. Let's look at you. Okay, so this was the setup. Huh? I'm not a prophet. I am not a prophet. But it's a pattern that you see in the market so much whereby you execute it without any fear, without any contradiction. You look at this and ask yourself, I'm going to pull that trigger. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the outcome. No one knows what's going to happen next. The only thing that backs me up is the data and some faith. Not even some, but a lot of faith. Because faith is very crucial. Even Jim Simons, during his first 2 years, he was like, yeah, we got lucky. Eesh. For someone who has made such a quite amount of money in the financial markets to say that they are lucky, it's quite significant. So when I executed this position, I was like, it's a good probability. I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen. I'm not a prophet. But look at this chart. Look at this chart. Look at this chart. What happened? Now, this was the first one. So I took 3 trades on this particular day. Now, I didn't execute only this trade, and I want to be transparent on that. I executed also on GBP USD, and I executed it also on Euro Dollar. The same positions you can see here on my downloads. How was it? 22nd. Here it is. So if you go to Euro USD, this was the execution before, and the analysis was that we had relatively equal lows below, somewhere around 1.4, where my stop loss was at. Somewhere around this region, that's where we had liquidity residing. And I was asking myself, like, what are the probabilities the prices are going to move further to the upper side? So I executed this position, and I executed it also on GBP USD. Where are you, darling? So the same position also on British pound dollar. Very interesting. Now look at what happened. Let me just do something over here a moment. So what happened was that on GBP, on Euro dollar, now this is the beautiful thing about looking at it in terms of probabilities. Huh? I executed this not knowing what was going to happen. Huh? And then I had a risk that I had initially planned out. And if you look at top investors in the world, they usually know when, worst case scenario, because you're dealing with the financial markets and this is not gambling. Gambling is dealing with hope. This is no hope here. Whereby if you execute a position, you need to ask yourself, if worst case scenario does happen, where would I want to exit out from? So I had this stop loss here, meaning I told myself if prices do break 1.14612, there's a high likelihood it will continue moving to the downside. Remember, that's not the case. The case is I had executed. The case is it's not going down, it's going up. Nah. The case that you need to ask yourself is yes, you are committed to this particular execution, but there's a probability also that it might go against you. So if it does go against you, what are the measures that you're going to take so that you don't blow everything? The next trade can change your life, but you cannot put everything on one basket. So I executed 3 trades, euro dollar. Look at this. Look, if I didn't have a stop loss and then prices go against me this much, then all of a sudden these questions will start arising in my head like, why didn't I? Just come back to my entry. Please, please. And the market doesn't hear prayers. It is not religious. The market does not hear that. You've had people throwing a fish hook. It doesn't work. So you have to prepare yourself. Euro dollar hit a stop loss. GBPSD hit a stop loss. But gold put me in profit. You see, this one trade did me good, whereby it made back what I lost in GU. It made me get back what I lost on EU, and it put me in profit. So those are the 3 trades that I started the week with. So one was a winner, 2 losses. Now, yesterday, I bought gold. Yesterday, I bought gold. It was somewhere around this region here. My stop loss was below this region, and I was targeting these highs. If you want, you can DM. I will share with you the screenshot. Your view on NZD/USD, I will go through that in just a few moments. So this was the position, and the trade went in my direction like immediately. Afterwards, I remember looking at the trade, it was doing pretty good. It was doing pretty decent. But today when I woke up in the morning, and there's something about psychology. I don't know if you guys face this as traders. You wake up in the morning, the moment your eyes are open, the first thing you think of is opening MetaTrader. So it's something I'm used to because we are traders. It's part of our lives. Huh? If there was a way whereby you can be tracking our positions even as we sleep, like imagine you're sleeping and then you're tracking MetaTrader. That would be very interesting. But I woke up and then the first thing I'm seeing is red. Now, psychology speaking, huh? You slept yesterday, your trade is in profit. It was blue. It was blues. The moment you shut your eyes, things are going well. The moment you wake up your eyes, the first thing, even before you go to your trade, there is that arrow that shows whether it's blue or red on your MetaTrader when you're looking at the assets, the pairs essentially. So the first thing I saw was red. I'm like, damn. Then I'm looking at the charts. Then I was like, Anyway, so what I ended up thinking was, it was somewhere around this region, somewhere around here. So I was asking myself, okay, and this is something I would want you guys to look out on. The moment you're in a position, if you're in a buy position, it's so hard for you to look at these. Maybe could it be selling? You see? And I had to remove the emotions out of, I'm not, this trade could be going against me. Why? Because I looked at this chart and I asked myself, look at this. We had the most recent low here at 32.83. That was the most recent low that we had prior to this. And then the markets went and made an all-time high nearly at $3,500 an ounce. Then we had such a massive drop, and this structure here broke the most recent lower high that was made, this region here. And then the market retraced. So I was asking myself, yeah, I'm looking at buying opportunity. I'm in a buy position right now, but what are the chances that this could be a short-term retracement, this leg here could be a short-term retracement, and the markets could continue moving further to the downside? Okay. Now, there was a Makali wanted us to look at NZD. So I closed the position and I entered the sell position. Immediately I closed the buying. Now I'm in sell positions at the moment. My stop loss is just above this region. If I can, it was somewhere around. I executed it somewhere around on this retracement. I had a stop loss. Yeah, my stop loss is like 700 pips. I've never had a trade that has a stop loss of 700 pips. My lord. And that's gold. And I was looking at these charts. I remember when I started trading gold, we used to look back then, we were like 30 pips, 100 pips. Right now, we are looking at 700 pips stop loss. So NZD, I like this price action. And I do believe we analyzed this chart most recently. If you look at it, let's start from a higher perspective, from where Trump and everything started from. We had a region, we had relatively equal lows, and this was something very. I like this strategy so much. I like this strategy so much. Whenever you have relatively equal lows, this was the low that was created back in 2022. Then we came here. This was January. Look at how the markets grabbed liquidity, and then we had a sharp move to the upper side. Now, this is institutions. This is how the algorithm usually delivers its price, because yes, there is a way into how the algorithm delivers itself. 1, 2, 3, and I want you to pay close attention to this particular three candlesticks. We have less than 7 hours for this weekly candlestick to close. You can see we have inefficiencies around, and this was a zone that I had marked, and I wanted to see how this chart is going to play out. And I do remember talking about this. Look at how this candlestick closed. Yes, it did break to the upper side, but it closed almost back at this order block, the order block that was created back in November 2024. Now, this is institution play. This is why I had marked this region. If someone is wondering, from the high, I do believe I was looking at it on a lower time frame for me to mark this zone. But look at how this candlestick closed almost similar to the high that was created back at this region. And then the market tanked to the downside. So when I'm looking at New Zealand dollar, I remember we were in long positions, especially looking at the commitment of traders. The New Zealand dollar was a safe haven. I do remember this position. This was one of the best trades I've ever taken on NZD. But look at what's happening currently at the moment, whereby the markets are struggling to break these highs that we do have around this region. And it reaches a point whereby, as a trader, break it down to the most simple point you can. Like, if you're looking at a chart, break it down to the most basic nuggets, because simplicity sometimes is key. You don't need to complicate technical analysis. It's all about probabilities. If you look at something and it makes sense to you, pull the trigger. So looking at NZD, yes, it was considered a safe haven, which is against the dollar because of what we had with the Trump's tariffs that were happening. And then it reaches a point whereby sentiment starts changing, and people are like, okay, maybe that was just Trump being Trump. Could we see the markets coming back down to where it was? And looking at this chart, so this is the H4 time frame, the H1. But if I can go back to the H4 time frame, let me just go to the weekly. If we do get this candlestick that closes below, it's very unlikely at the moment with 7 hours to go. But if we do have a rejection of around, this is like 24 pips, that's not a lot of pips. If we do get 24 pips to the downside, we do have news coming out. Actually, news has come out for the United States dollar. So if we do get this candlestick closing below the 50%, like actually it's well below the 50 region currently at the moment. If this candlestick closes below this range, moving forward, I would want to see some sort of pullbacks. This is not financial advice, but I would want to see this market coming back down feeling these inefficiencies, especially these inefficiencies here. So towards the end of the week. So this candlestick might close this way, open next week, and then we might see a further correction of this move that had initially happened. So moving over to the dollar index, huh? So the DXY, we did see it tank when the week started aggressively, but at the moment it did correct itself. My lord, I need to take antihistamines. So on the daily time frame, and this is something. This is the first week actually in the past. How many trading days has this been? So in the past 98 days, this is the first trading day that we have seen actually the dollar index picking up or closing positively. Oh my lord, this Homer is going to make me. The music has to go on. I'm sorry about you. The music has to go on. Now, over the past 98 days, look at how this candlestick is closing on the dollar index, meaning that investors are starting to gain confidence. This was what these sharp spikes are when tariffs. As you can see, it started on January. Yeah? Ever since Trump took office, the dollar index tanked. Why? Because the government is now run on Twitter nowadays. So looking at the volatility index, yes, similar, but we have seen it starting to recover. Actually, for the volatility index, the lower it is, the better. In terms of, if you look at it on a 27%, this means that in the next 1 year, there's a 27% chance the market can move either way. So right now where we are, better. US 500, we did see a bit of correction. We did come back to the 50% region. I remember I took this trade. It was live with you guys. I like the Fibonacci so much. So from this low to this high, prices came back to the magical 60 between the magical retracement ratio, 61.8 and the 50 region, and then we had a push to the upper side. So this is something that we had anticipated in the markets. And if you look at stock heat maps for the week, you can see Microsoft is up 3%, Apple 5%, Nvidia 2% for the week. Berkshire Hathaway, JP, Visa, MasterCard, finance are picking up. Consumer non-durables are still in limbo. Non-durables because of the retail sales. The retails did come quite alarming. But if you look at finance, finance is doing superbly. The economy is doing wonderfully. Technology, same thing. Electronics, Apple were given a big boost in terms of because Apple is designed in America, assembled in China. So the trade was, yes, it said that the CEO called Trump and he was like, hey, Baba, we need you to save us. We need you to save us. It's not looking good for us. So the S&P 500 is up, eh? Nasdaq, where are you, baby? Okay, Nasdaq is up also. So this is a tech industry. These are tech heavy. Something to watch out is Tesla, and we'll look into the charts about Tesla. But the markets have been recovering. If you look at Russell 2000, look at Russell. So these are mid-cap stocks. Huh? Most of them in finance, especially, they're doing relatively well. Health, economy, electronics, and so on and so forth. So these are doing well. These are really doing well. Going back to the charts, huh? You can see that Nasdaq, there's a high likelihood that investors are gaining confidence because, honestly, and people made a lot of money. Because it brings me back to Jim Simons. Whenever you see a pattern in the market, like whenever you see a dip, it means that the market has to recover. When we don't know, but it has to recover. This is the first time I've seen whereby when there was fear, actually people bought. So people bought stocks because they were like, hey, this is the best time to buy stocks because it's at a discount. Something that was trading. If you look at Tesla, let's just look at Tesla for a moment. I did this analysis a while back. So Tesla, let's say for example, I didn't buy technically because I don't have the resources at the moment. But if you bought Tesla at 232, right now it's at 261. Technically, you have made how much per share? Nearly $30 per share. That's really good. Really, really good. In how many days has this been? So around 17 trading days. That's really good. Really, really good return on investment. So the Russell is picking up. So this is the Russell, this is the mid cap stocks, and we saw it tank ever since Trump effect. US 30, same thing. Now treasuries is something very worrying because if you look at treasuries, let's go on the monthly time frame. Ever since 2020, treasuries have been tanking because of China had a lot of reserves in the US and other countries. And after COVID, there was a shift into how people used to see the markets. People started going away from the United States dollar as a reserve currency, whereby ever since Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the dollar was considered the reserve. If you go, the charts don't allow me to go back towards that time, but the dollar was the dom. If you had to do business technically, it was the dollar. But it reaches a point whereby the models become unsustainable and the markets are always evolving. When you look at what happened during Russia Ukraine, whereby Russia had a lot of reserves, had some reserves in the United States dollar, and then all of a sudden they're telling you, no, we cannot give you your money. Yes, it's your money, but what name is in on that reserve? What name is on that piece of paper? It's the United States dollar. So when China also saw that, they were like, oh, we need to be careful because China still wants Taiwan. China still wants Taiwan. And US has invested a lot in Taiwan to a point whereby they cannot be willing to let it go off easily. So when there are these tensions in the markets, that's why BRICS started having a voice, whereby we don't need to be using the United States dollar every day. We are making them stronger just by using their currency. And it's all about when you look at finance, when you look at forex, even you're trying to trade who's stronger than the other one. Because if I look at NZD I'm looking at, okay, what are the chances the New Zealand dollar is going to be stronger or the New Zealand dollar is going to be weaker? That's how it is. Money moves from regions of liquidity to regions of liquidity. So most of the times money will move from where it's not doing good to where it's doing good. There was someone I was talking to, and she was mentioning whereby if the billionaires decided to give all their money out, somehow, some way, it will go back to the billionaires because they do understand that how money works, moving from regions of liquidity to regions of liquidity. If you look at JPY, JPY right now is considered a very good safe haven. Let me look at USD JPY. Look at USD JPY. Ever since 2012, USD JPY has been on an uptrend. Why? Because the economy is solid. If you look at the balance of trades, solid. It's just recently from last year whereby we started seeing they started increasing their interest rates. So initially it was negative interest rates, but right now they are raising the interest rates. And last year we did see the unwinding of the carry trade. Where was it? It was somewhere around this. Yeah, these three particular candlesticks. So this was the unwinding of the carry trade. And you can tell that from price action, the United States dollar against the Japanese yen has struggled to break the highs that was created back in 2025 January. Look at what's happening currently at the moment. The JPY is a stronger asset compared to the dollar. So we anticipate that this currency will continue moving further to the downside. When we don't know, but eventually it will happen, further moving to the downside. If you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin had a very big, had a massive week this week, whereby it did gain on the weekly time frame. Let's go to the weekly. So 11% on the week. So that's quite significant, huh? from 86,000 to nearly, from the low that was created was 85,000, from 85,000 to 95,000. That's quite significant, huh? On the weekly perspective. Now, oil is also something to watch out for, because low oil prices usually signify the markets are in, an economy is in recession. But at this point, and something also to note, for people who are mining oil, it's very unprofitable for them to mine oil. New oil wells cannot be dug while prices are at $60 a barrel. It's not profitable for them. It is not profitable for new oil wells. For existing wells, they can handle up to $30 to $40 a barrel. But if you want to dig a new well here, and the prices of a barrel is like 60, nearly 60, they don't do that. They don't do that. So looking at Forex Factory, I want to look at where Forex Factory is. So we've just had news releases come out for Canada. It was core retail sales. Let's look at what USD Canadian dollar did. So on the weekly time frame, we are at a doji. This is a doji candlestick, but on the 1 hour time frame, not a lot is happening. Huh? Not so many things are happening. But yeah, could we see prices close below this region here? I would want to see that. If we close below the opening price of today, look at how yesterday failed to break these highs. Today failed to break yesterday's highs. So if we do close below this region, I would want to see the dollar gaining a bit of strength moving forward. I remember this trade, this was very painful. Nikkei 225, bullish. Yeah, so I'll think I want to go into stocks. I want to go into long-term stocks, because look at this trade. This is very powerful. This is what you call passive income, huh? Whereby you can make money while you sleep. You can make money while you sleep. So the Nikkei index, ever since I did have this analysis, this was like 15 days ago also. Very good risk to reward ratio currently running in profits. So also I would want to look into NSE. Why not? Nairobi Stock Exchange. The economy will do well. I'm certain that in the near future, we cannot stay here for eternity. It's been quite a moment ever since 2017. I do believe this was the second term for the regime of the Uhuru Ruto regime, whereby prices were back at $24. Whoa, look at that. So if prices, this is a good time. I want to look for money, actually. I want to mark this stream. Today is the 25th of April 2025. Imagine investing in a country, because you cannot say that it's going, there has to be a bottom. The ball has to hit the ground for it to bounce. It has to. Could we find the bottom here? Because in the near future, if you invest something at $7 here, if it comes to 14, technically, you've made 100%. Now, minus inflation and all that, you can bargain about that. But technically, if you buy it at 7, it reaches 14. Basically, that's 100%. But you look at this price chart and look at it once hit 21. This is good returns. If you were to buy here, if you were to go for a long position, a stop loss yako just below this region, you target these highs, that's a risk to reward ratio of 1:7, whereby you increase your money to increase 7-fold. Let's go look at what the stocks are doing actually. So year to date, we have 1.88% year to date. So market cap is at nearly 2 trillion. It's trading at currently 125 shillings. Let's look at the top gainers. This is the NSE 25, I do believe. Yeah. Yeah. This one is NSE what? I do believe this is NSE 50. So this is NSE 25. Top. Let's look at an all-time. Yeah. So back in 2017 to look chini. Monday 2018, somewhere around that region when the new regime took over. The final term for Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, President Uhuru. Top gainers, Flame Tree Group Holdings, up 7%. Who are these people? Flame Tree Group is listed on the Nairobi Security Exchange. Flame Tree is traded. Who are these? They have a small market cap. Flame Tree. Who are these people? So they operate in Mauritius, Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Dubai, and Mozambique. It operates in FMCG, plastics, and trading with a brand portfolio that includes. So these are the people who own roto tanks. These water tanks. Okay. Okay. Jojo Plastics, Zero, Alana Skin, Sierra, Happies, and Dilma. Okay, so they have quite a. Yeah, people are actually building. Trust you me, people are building so much. People are building. So it makes sense. It makes sense. So Flame Tree is up 7%. Their share is currently trading at how much? 1.27 a share? Oh my lord. Traded volume is a. Okay, so you can buy 100 shares per day. Minimum is 100 shares. So this is like, this is only 11,000, Bob. And they have a lot. Okay. Now this is what you need to invest in. Look, so in February, prices did hit 2.12 shillings a share. All time. So back in 2017, it was almost nine shillings a share. What happened? It's the 57th most valuable stock on the NSE with a market cap of 226. Okay, the market cap is quite small. Honestly, it's quite small. Standard, Britam. So if you look at finance, have been doing really good, Kengen, Absa. When you look at banks have been doing really good because of everything that's happening financially. It does favor these people so much. I'll need to invest in a Google ad blocker. Bottom losers, Scan Group, Centum. Centum, what did you do? But let's look at. I've been looking at. There was this GLD. Where was it? Yeah. This is why I want to invest in NSE so much. I remember when I started trading, like 2 years. I remember this was 2022. Yeah, back in 2022, I was looking at this asset. Just when gold was about, I remember it was around $1,800 an ounce. Not an ounce, but $1,800 per share. 1,800 shillings, sorry, per share, because this one is in Kenyan shillings. And at that time, it was during the Russia-Ukraine war. And I saw it pump to 2,000. This was the first time, actually around 2022. If you look at gold, back in 20, It somehow mimics, huh? It somehow mimics what was happening. Yeah, it was around that region. This one usually mimics what gold is doing. So it was around 1800, somewhere around that region here. So it moved to 2000, and then I was like, oh, this is a good idea. This is a really good idea. I'm looking at it right now, and it's at 3,700. I'm like, damn. Actually, it's at 4,000. Meaning, if you had invested in 2022, right now you'll be 100% in profit. And they do have a good, huge market cap at 1.6 billion. That's good. That's good. Today's trading volume none. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. The other company that I like looking out is agriculture. Kakuzi. Kakuzi, same thing. I remember looking at it, it was trading at 370, if I'm not wrong. Somewhere around that region. Yeah, somewhere around this region. Back in 2020 something. 370 to 380, somewhere around that region here. Look at where it is right now, man. So Forex is one of the best things you can ever do to yourself because you get to understand how the markets move. Huh? You get to understand what's needed from you. And all of these companies are a good opportunity for you to be making money. Passive income. We are all about passive income. Yeah? I'm not saying that you kick your boss in the balls and then you start trading the next day. Doesn't happen that way. You can. There's a probability you'll get sued and lose your job, but in the long run, it's very wise to understand what the markets are doing. So forex is not a scam. I think the thing that most people usually get wrong is the approach. If you look at especially for content creators, this is really good for them because it's content. Huh? There's these videos looking at the truth about forex traders. So if you look at videos like these, there's a very high likelihood that you're in an industry. If you look at NAC, just one of these companies like Kakuzi has a market cap of 8 billion Kenyan shillings, 8.62 billion Kenyan shillings. In an industry whereby this much amount of money moves around, you're bound to get people who are not legit because money is moving. In a single day, 6 trillion moves in the financial markets. It doesn't mean it's moving in MetaTrader. No, it's moving in and out. People's pockets, their spreads, their commissions. So there are so many things that are happening on a particular daily basis. So it reaches a point whereby, and it's so easy to sell fears. You can look at these 69,000 views. 69,000 people who are fearful. The dark reality. Also, this one. So if you look at these videos, there's a high likelihood it's going to impact. Yes, it's very insightful. You're going to learn a few things here and there. But as a result of 2 or 3 people tarnishing the name of forex, it doesn't mean that forex is a scam. Yeah, I've been trading in these markets and I've seen it. I've witnessed people making money, legit money. Most of these people who make money actually are not even on social media. They are lay low because they don't want unnecessary. If you look at Jim Simons, he usually regards his strategy very. You cannot go and tell this guy to tell you what he does. Averaging 60% return for 30 years, you cannot come to me. It's like someone coming to me and telling me, hey, I want you to teach me your strategy. I won't teach you everything. I will not teach you everything. Why? Because it took me some time. And the longer the tree takes to mature, the stronger it gets, the better the fruits. It's not an overnight success. If it was easy as buy this course from me, make $10 million, it would have meaning to it. So the people who make it are the ones who usually do their due diligence. Huh? And spoon feeding, they are not spoon fed. You hit your stop loss so many times to a point whereby you're like, no, I have to do something. I have to change. I have to change something. Because honestly, trust you me, hitting a stop loss is painful. If you hit 10 million stop losses, it means that you're going to feel something. We are creatures of emotions, not logic. We are not machines. We don't have a keyhole that you, like a vehicle. You enter a vehicle, you sit, you put on your seatbelt, and then you start the vehicle, and it takes you wherever it wants. No, even a vehicle at some point it will disagree with you. How many times I remember? I remember times where we used to go with my dad, and we had this old Corolla, very good vehicle, and there were times whereby it would also show its age. Yeah, it was reliable, but it reaches a point whereby a vehicle needs also to be taken care of. It needs to be serviced. You have to put tires. You have to do maintenance here and there. A mice enters, it bites your wires. You enter in the next morning, you try to go to work, vehicle doesn't start. It's very normal. A vehicle doesn't know what it's going through, but for you, you're going to attach emotions. I've seen people beat up their vehicles. Yeah, I remember Karate Kid when Jackie Chan rebuilt that vehicle, and then he took a sledgehammer. I think we need to revisit that video. Karate Kid. I was young, but this scene really changed my life. What was that clip? Yeah, it's this one. I was really young, but this scene really hit me hard.
We're not trained today.
Yeah, this was a very emotional scene that and it was not about the car, because if you look at this movie, he restored it. He used to restore this vehicle, and then when he finished restoring the vehicle, he trashed it up. It made so much sense when I grew up, because looking at that clip was, it was not about the vehicle. We think that rebuilding the vehicle, it's what needs to be done. The same way whereby you feel like, I need that strategy. I need that strategy that doesn't lose. I need to be hitting take profits each and every time I place a trade. And it doesn't happen. It's not that way. The world doesn't revolve that way. So what needs to be done is you move with the flow. It's a probability, execute. It's a probability, execute. You don't know which one is going to be yours until you find out later. So moving back to the chart, tomorrow, next week, not even tomorrow, today is the final trading day. So we do have 6 hours for this trading day to be concluded. I'm currently in sell positions. Huh? Yeah, not bad. Not bad. So actually, I'm making back what I lost yesterday. Interesting. So next week is going to be NFP. So Monday it's going to be Canadian federal election, but the highlight of the week is going to be employment change, whereby we're looking at negative numbers. So let's see if we can find some data. Currently, there are no related stories. So let's go to where the markets. Let's look at Twitter kidogo. What does Rufus have to say? Lessons from Gordon Gekko in Wall Street, 1987. At first, he came out a strong capitalist tiger. Bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. Nothing was more important to him than winning. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for a lack of better word, is good. Greed is right, greed works. Oh my lord. Greed clarifies. This is 3 hours ago from Mr. Rufus Kamau. Greed clarifies, cut through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms, greed for life, for money, love, knowledge has marked the upward surge of mankind. Eventually, with this mentality landed him in jail. Wait a minute. Hold up. Eventually, this mentality did what? In the sequel, Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps 2010, he comes out of jail and writes a book titled Is Great Good? In this movie, he starts valuing time and family. Money is not the prime asset in life, time is. Ah, this was after spending years in jail contemplating. They took 122,000 hours of my life for a victimless crime. I ate my bitterness every goddamn day, and when I got out, who was waiting for me? Nobody, not even my own daughter. Wow, the wiser Gordon has had some wisdom to share. Don't run when you lose, don't whine when it hurts. Geek acknowledges the greed got out of control. Even though he profited from it once, he recognized that unrestrained greed led to systematic collapse. He realized that no matter how much the game changes, the players don't. Ambition, fear, ego, greed, they're always drive the markets. In essence, he was saying that greed needs limits, a balance. Greed gets in the game, it's ambition, hunger, and drive. But unchecked, greed blinds you. You chase tops, hold losers too long, ignore risk, and forget your rules. After jail, he hints that greed without discipline or timing is just self-destruction. Let ambition spark your journey, but let systems, discipline, and risk management drive it. That's very powerful. Very powerful. Let ambition spark your journey, but let systems, discipline, and risk management drive it. Markets are a psychological battlefield. Gekong had understood that most traders lose not because of poor information, but because they get emotionally. I need to change the title of this stream. Emotions in trading. I was just speaking about emotions. I didn't even go through, but
Greed works.
this is really
Greed
wise.
clarifies
Let me
and
look at my
cuts
speaker
through
here
and
for a moment.
captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love,
Okay.
knowledge has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words,
Where were we? We were on
won't
Twitter.
save Teldar paper, but that other
Okay,
malfunctioning
Justin
corporation called the
from
USA.
Wachaguru.
Thank you very much.
Fed Reserve withdraws crypto activity, reporting requirements for banks.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen,
What does that mean?
that greed
God creates man, man creates Bitcoin. Go. It took 6 years to increase my salary by 55%, but only 3 years to increase it by 600 by moving abroad. Yeah, I would want to go abroad. Yeah, tariffs are really hitting. Yeah, I was looking at this today. So bad. Be so competent they forget you're unmanageable. Americans rush to buy commercial aircraft and parts and capital goods. Ah, yeah, yeah. This is going to impact those people. Oh my lord! I remember watching Cow, and there was this most recent video whereby he bought a vehicle, and he was so the salesperson was telling him if you had bought it a few days later, it would have been nearly £5,000 more. It was 5,000. I don't remember. I'll go back and check it. Yeah, today's oil prices aren't survivable for US producers. This is what I was talking about. Ah, the average break-even price for large operators in the US to profitably drill new oil wells is around $58 per barrel, while smaller farms may need $68 per barrel, compared to 38. Yeah, this is the data. With WTI trading at 62.9 per barrel today, OPEC tripling its projected oil output in May, and Trump's tariff reducing global oil demand due to slowed growth. A further decline in WTI prices could lead into a stalemate in the oil production. What does trading economic have to say? Consumer confidence decreased to 52.2 from 57 points in March. Okay, interesting. Treasuries are tanking. Treasuries are tanking, and I these are treasuries here. Treasuries are tanking, but even though it did gain today, for the week, how much has it gained? So 1% for the week. That's not it's not bad, but it's not so good also. I would want to look at the commitment of traders that are coming out after today. Yeah, nothing over there. What do you guys think about prop firms? Hmm? What do you guys think about prop firms? I like this guy, Mr. White. This is where the government usually is run nowadays. Let's give our darling a like over there. Yeah. The Pope. These people have huge hearts. I've I've interacted with a father. His name is Muriasi. Those people are selfless. People on a mission. This guy looks hungry. Who's this? Trading with other prop firms. Trading with Marvin. What is Marvin up to? XAUSD. Moving back to gold. So we are on a position on gold. For those who are just joining, we are on a position on gold. This is the darling position for the day. I want to see how the weekly candlestick is going to close. We did nearly go to Wednesday's lows. Now, at 5 to 6, if institutions have their final rushes to push money in the financial markets, usually Friday is the day before they close, because the next trading day technically is going to be Monday. So, if orders are going to be passed on to the marketplace during efficiency time hours, now is the time. So, we're going to see how this one is going to be. Now, one thing to note is that next week we are going to have NFP, non-farm payrolls. We do anticipate the numbers coming out actually negative. Eh? So the forecast is actually at 129,000. The last time that number came at 100. Okay, what time? The last time we were forecasting 129 Gs. This was during November, but November was very anticipated because of the strikes that were happening and the fire. I think it was in Cali, the fire in California. So we anticipating actually the forecast is at 129,000. Now that's worrying. That's really worrying because what does it mean for jobs the previous month? Remember, this is April, no? So this is going to be last month's data. We're going to see because I do believe it's going to have an impact on the tariffs because companies technically would want to scale down. If profits are going to be minimized, what's the easiest thing to do? It's lay off people. So if people are laid off, it means that money is no longer going to be in circulation as needed. So 129,000 jobs is actually really low. Now that's a forecast. Huh? If you look at the data, let's look at ever since 2020. Let's look at 2024. So could this force the Fed Reserve to, if these numbers actually come out low, if these numbers do come out low, will it force the Fed to lower their interest rates in the next 12 days? Hmm? Very interesting times to be trading. Let it load. So there's a 93.2% chance we are going to have it where it is, at 93.2% chance. Now that's quite high because this number has been actually going higher and higher every day. I remember when the Fed Chair Jerome was speaking, the last meeting we had, this data was around 83 to 87%. Currently, it's trading at 93.2%. Interesting. If you look at Trump wants this guy to lower rates, man. Look at Trump. Where's Trump? Let's look at his most. There was a guy complaining that the government nowadays is being run on Twitter. Hey, here it is. Sleepy Joe Biden. That's the name. Sleepy Joe Biden. This is April 19th. Huh? The worst president in the history of the United States has allowed millions and millions of criminals, many of them murderers. But you don't have to say this, man. Following my blah blah blah. Oh yeah, this was something. This was something that was very interesting. Huh? Trump wanted to have the capability to, in short, if I was to put it in these simple terms, Trump wants power over the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve is an independent body. So he signed an executive. This is still in court. This is still in court. Will be issuing new civil regulations for career government employees. Moving forward, career government employees working on policy, whose policy? The Fed Reserve, will be classified as schedule policy stroke career. So schedule, keyword schedule, and will be held to the highest standards of conduct and performance. If these government workers refuse to advance the policy interests of the president or are engaging in corrupt behavior, they should no longer have a job. This is common sense, and we will allow the federal. So he's actually targeting the federal government to finally be run like a business. Very interesting. Now, this is still in court. Huh? This is a tweet, but it's still in court because the Fed Reserve needs to be independent. There are certain bodies in the government whereby they need to operate without political interference. I remember it was it Zimbabwe? I do believe it was Zimbabwe. Was it Zimbabwe? Yeah, Zimbabwe. Whereby the government printed a lot of money. We can understand what happened. Right now, the inflation. What's the inflation of Zimbabwe right now? 85.7%. Damn. Damn. That's quite significant, huh? Why? Politics, it's like, what does the normal saying go like? You cannot mix business with. Yeah, but politics is not pleasure. Eh? Politics is more of business and emotions. Yeah, you cannot mix business and emotions. So we will want to see how this one goes on. But if the Fed do hold the interest rates in the next 12 days, Twitter is going to be fire. Twitter is going to be lit, especially on Mr. Donald J. Trump's Twitter page. So I remember seeing this post. Does this post look real to you, man? Donald, McDonald. Cut rates. Where is that? Cut rates now. Oil prices are down. Interest rates are down. The slow moving Fed should cut. Now, remember, this is the guy who put Jerome Powell on that seat. Trump is the one who hired who hired the Jerome Powell. So, this is how this gathered for instructions and taxes. What happened here? Whoa. Yeah, those were lives lost. May their soul rest in peace. It's Liberation Day. We'll never forget that, Mr. Donald. We shall never forget. We shall never. The girls accidentally saw your crypt. Ati design gani, Madam Linda? Nyama ya jogoo inaenda kupatana na nderema. Na nderema. Nderema is a good. It's a. Hey. Hey, Kenyans. Kenyans are meme lords, man. Kenyans are meme lords. Eh? Our one and only family cow, ladies and gentlemen. Anaitwa nani? Philomena. We need to get out of this site. Going back to CME Fed Watch tool. Aha. So 58% chance by 18th June. When will that be? 18th June. It's going to be on a Wednesday. So there's a 58% chance that they are going to lower the interest rates finally. So the first interest rate cut we might see this year will come on June. Will come on June. And I think they'll have to wait for these for this month's NFP numbers. So the NFP numbers for this month, and then I do believe they'll look into CPI numbers, inflation numbers. So that's going to be the other week. Where is it? So they are going to have their federal funds rate first on the 7th. Then, where's the CPI numbers? Where are you? It's going to be on the 3rd week. It's going to be 13th May. So it's going to be on the 3rd week of the trading month. The numbers are not yet out, but we'll want to see how that is going to be. But so next week is going to be very active. Next week is going to be very crucial for us traders. We're going to see how the markets interpret this data, especially non-farm payrolls. If we do get these numbers coming out at 129,000, we'll want to see what the Federal Reserve are going to do, because looking at job market, it's cooling down. If you look at unemployment numbers yesterday, where is it? Unemployment numbers yesterday came out at 222,000 jobs, huh? Meaning that unemployment is not moving to the upper side. People are not gaining jobs, people are not losing jobs, it's just there. But looking at the trajectory, we had highs around October last year. We haven't gone back to those territories, but price jobs have been averaging 200 and something thousand, around the average of 220,000 jobs being lost. So these are unemployment claims. So if this data actually picks up, it might be worrying. Looking at this trajectory, ever since January, we have been seeing a rise in the number of job losses. So once again, poleni sana, I have a cold, man. So 222,000 jobs. We'll want to see how this one is going to affect the markets moving forward, because it seems to be on the rise. If you do it on an average, let's remove the forecast. If you look at it on an average, job markets are on the rise, whereby we did hit ever since January, ever since Trump took office. Whoa, interesting. Ever since Trump took office, people have been losing jobs. Ever since he was sworn in office, technically, people have been losing jobs. So very interesting to watch out how these numbers are going to play out in the near future. But NFP is going to be very wild to look out. Last these months, NFP was one of the slowest months we have ever seen. Like literally, NFP did nothing. Literally, it did nothing. I do believe my cold is going to, so I don't think I'll stream tomorrow or the other day because it's just started today. So meaning tomorrow and the other day, it will be nothing. A lot of ginger, a lot of what's it called? Dawa. A lot of dawa. Let's wait. Let's look at what the internet has to say. You're streaming a stream. I don't think that's right for us. Let me do this. There's a strategy coming out actually for you guys. I want to develop a strategy. Very soon it's going to be launched. A very simple strategy to get you started into the financial marketplace. So you'll want to keep a close eye on that. What country is this? International. What does international mean? Let's do this. What does this guy want to do? Kuja. Come. I dare you. I don't like filing pawns on the same line. I've noticed that it usually impacts my game so much. How much time do I have? So we can do this. We can do this. What you gonna do? Wab up. It's a wise move because I was going for your people over there, man. Hey, now I'm in trouble. Need to do something. Uh, yep. Need to think quick, man. Aye, that was a mistake. Aye, that was a blunder, man. That was stupid. Sorry about that. Let's look at this one. Who's this? Ethiopia. Ah, Ethiopia. The name is Hefa. Efa. Hey, you're moving these pieces so quick, man. Be careful. Be careful, man. Be careful. Do you guys have any other questions? Any other questions? Excuse me. Oh my lord. Take the bait. Yes, sir. Nice. Do it. Do it. Do it. Come on. I dare you. I dare you. Hey, that was shitty. What was I thinking? Making mistakes, man. Making a lot of mistakes. That was so bad. Greece or something. Yeah. You Greek. Bananas finias. What does that mean? Thank you. Ouch. You come here. You come here. Mm. This guy is very tricky, huh? But time is at least on my side now. Thank you for that. Pleasure doing business. Okay. What does this guy want to do? Okay, need to think quick. The United States of America. My guy ashaamka tayari. No, it's already. I'm the one who needs to be sleeping. Okay. My road. Ah, shit. Ish. This was over so quickly. Hey, this was a massacre. Hey, man. What does this guy want to do to me? That's going to be it from me on this stream. But before we conclude, this is the position once again on bless me, Almighty Lord. On gold, for those who are buying gold, may you have more faith. Aish. Have a blessed time. May God protect you. May your enemies respect you. And may death neglect you and your family. That's going to be it for me. Stay safe, huh?